Hi, early birds. We have a couple minutes, but if you're here already, you might as well get a few things ready. And two roll towels, big ones if you have them. And see if you can fish around your house and get a couple of cushions. If not, I'll show you how to do it with your two roll towels. But since we're moving towards mild back bending at the end of class, these can be used even if you're warming up or just waiting for class to begin by getting onto your little, see when you come early, you get the preview coming attractions, getting onto your cushions and just letting the shoulder blades fall open or goal posting. So we're going to be moving toward that. And that may be, for a lot of people in the morning, a little bit too much. However, because we've been working with the hips and the shoulders, it's a natural progression. Now this device, while you're waiting, you can get entertained, is an old-fashioned back bending device. It looks a little bit like a torture instrument because it is a little bit. It's of course designed by the Iyengar folks. So there you have it. To counter the effects of kyphosis or computeritis, the hunched shoulders pitched forward, the mid-back kind of getting down into a chimpanzee-like structure. So some brilliant person came up with this thing so that you could reverse the curve, so to speak, and also get your whole triceps into it. So this is what we used to do. And it's interesting, but has to be approached with some amount of caution. So if you've got nothing better to do, you can order one of these for $500 or whatever they cost nowadays, probably more, and use it as a piece of sculpture after you've used it a few times in your house. But I'm going to show you, as we get everybody started, I'm going to show you how to hopefully get there through more humane means. So your two towel rolls, if you're just coming in and you missed the pregame show of coming attractions, and then two cushions, which we may eventually use toward the end of class. So two cushions are always useful for some people who have even difficulty coming to Sukhasana because they can just take the cushions, or the towel rolls rather, and just clip them under the legs, put the legs down, get the sit bones walked backward. And then there's no struggle in the inner legs to just hang out. So as we did earlier, and we often do, just pitching back and forth a few times, like you're trying to find a comfortable roost. For some reason, I always, when I go to these meditation sessions, or when I used to, I think of a chicken coop with a bunch of chickens trying to lay a leg of enlightenment or something. Okay, so the jokes are already off to a big start. But let's pitch back and forth and just go into mild extension and flexion, curving, rounding, protracting the shoulder blades on exhale, doing a little tone in the core, and inhale, coming forward, letting the chest broaden, upper arm bones sit naturally down near the side ribs, and just start to move your spine with your breath. Or rather, transition after a few breaths to feeling the breath move the spine. So let the ribs open as you come forward and close as you go back. Most of us move, even those who practice yoga, about our daily lives with the breath being kind of like the little sibling who gets dragged along, and instead of letting the breath be the older sibling or the lead sibling that then moves the body. I suppose ideally it's a couple of twins that cooperate. And so we let the actions of the breath, spreading the diaphragm, open the ribs, chest comes forward, and exhale, reverse. And then come to seated, close your eyes, and feel the breath coming in and out in a much more subtle way. Of course, as you've heard me often say, there's no such thing as absolute stillness. So even when you're sitting in static, or we move into static postures, which are somewhat infrequent in this class, you should still be able to dive into the body and feel the movement. Like a car engine that's running and percolating. So even here, just take a few more breaths as people join in a few minutes late, and feel the shoulders gently be lifted by the lifting rib cage on the inhale. Exhale, release the shoulder and the neck tension. Again, inhale, feel the back and the front ribs spreading open. The arm bones get carried up by the wind of the breath, the breeze of the breath. And exhale, just release, relax the shoulder blades down the back. Opening the eyes, palms to heart. Hum, say ah, or do an om with me. Inhale. Release the hands. And so, welcome, and we've been working on shoulders and hips. So let's check in with the hips and just lean over to the right. Place that right hand down and let the weight just travel onto that right hip. Let's take the opposite arm up and over and push with the bottom hand a little so that now both hips are grounding solidly. Opening up the upper shoulder, closing the lower shoulder a little bit. So we move the spine slightly in the side bend, inhale to the top. Switch, left hand down, roll, go ahead and roll over to that left hip, but then I'm going to take that lower hand and push away from the direction of my travel with the upper body, so the hips are grounded, I'm regrounded, and then I breathe, feeling the openness in the right side body, the right side arm. And how's that shoulder feeling? How's the neck feeling there? Come up, do the same thing, but a slight neck release now. So I'm going to take the right hand up and over to the other side of the skull. Gently draw the head over to the right. So right fingers hook right over the skull. And then extend your left arm straight out from the shoulder. Spread the fingers. And go easy. And just let the head resist back into the hands. So the head, even though it's gently being drawn over to the right, is pushing in resistance. Now, stay there, but drop your gaze and your chin down toward your right shoulder. Let the hand slide to the back of the skull and gently traction it forward in the direction of your bent elbow. And spread those left fingers. Spread the fingers, open up, and feel the sensation in that left shoulder. And take the right hand, slide it over the top of the head, the sagittal crest to your forehead. Press your forehead into your hands briefly. And then let the hand slowly bring the head back up to center and come back. These are just gentle warm-up exercise for the shoulders. Now that we did a quickie with the hips, let's take that left arm up and over gently, just like you're drawing the side of your skull. Not much. And we offer slight resistance against that draw. Float the right fingers up, spread them like a tree frog at shoulder level. And just feel the stretching of those sternomastoids on the side of the neck. Feel their intimacy, connection with the shoulder, the right shoulder. And then nod the chin down toward the shoulder, let the left hand slide to the nape of the neck. The occiput, and like a mother cat, gently drawing length into the back of the skull. Breathe. Slide the left hand over the skull to the forehead. Gently press the forehead into the hand, offer some resistance, and slowly let the forehead come back up to center. Take your hands to your knees, close your eyes, and take a breath. So, a little more work with the hips. We've got your 2 towel rolls, yes. And let's go down onto our back. And we're going to take one of the towel rolls as we lay down on our backs, with our knees bent. Lift your hips up, slide the towel roll to the back, like we've done many times. And just draw your knees into your hands toward you and toward the shoulders. Relax the legs. Relax the shoulders. Feel the plates of the shoulder blades spread out like pancakes on the griddle of the mat. Release the feet down in front of you, arms straight out from the shoulders. Inhale, rock the cradle of the hips forward, maybe an inch or so. The sacrum's going forward over the towel roll. Exhale, let it roll back toward you. Very simple. Again, the temptation always is to move primarily from the body, but we're trying to stitch the breath to the movement. So inhale, hips draw forward over the towel roll, and the shoulders roll back correspondingly. Open the shoulder capsules, the collarbones. Exhale, hips come toward. Open pattern, arching the low back slightly, hips roll forward, arms are open, slight stretch in the front of the chest. Exhale, release. And let the head get into the act. So the head is just being rolled as well, or drawn long as the hips move away. Chin coming toward the chest. Back of the neck being stretched. So we're taking both fingers to the base of the skull and gently drawing it long. And exhale, release. Open the jaw, relax the masseter muscle. And this would be a rough cranial sacral action. So the shoulders and the hips are being slightly manipulated with this towel roll. Now let's take a figure 4. Simple warm up of the right shin over the left knee and pull the figure 4 toward us. Threading the right hand through the upper leg bones, the left hand around. And just take a few breaths to hold static. And let the hips, using your subtle core muscles, make that first action of moving away from you. So once you've hooked up or pulled them toward you, now can you let the figure four and your bind move away from you so that the SI joints, the sacrum, is evenly displaced or placed on the towel roll, and breathe. So often to open or stretch in yoga pose, there has to be just that nice edge of slight resistance. And then release and let the figure four fall toward you. Let's switch sides. And we take the left shin over the right basket, or bind the right shin or the back of the hamstring. It's easier by threading the left arm through the upper legs, the right arm around. So those who've been coming to class know that part of this exercise is to center the low back, the SI joints, keep them even, just as we did in our first lateral bend. And so once you've gotten your bind and your figure four pulled in, let the legs move away from you like a horse. Let your arms be the reins. Gently press the back of the skull into the mat, relaxing your jaw, tongue, and eyes. And just find a nice connection to your body, the towel roll, the geometry of the posture, and engage in it without torture. And let's release that. Let's uncross the legs, arms down by the sides. So briefly take the arms straight out from the shoulders, inhale. As you exhale, start to drop the hips slightly or the knees slightly to the left and look right. Palms are up to the sky, inhale the center, and exhale the knees. Go over to the right, keeping the widely spread feet, and the head goes to the left. So now we're starting to move into mild asymmetry as you just drop the knees one way, the head to the opposite direction. If you feel any tweakiness in your low back, that's an indicator that you may want to be staying more on what we call straight line poses. As we lift up to bridge pose now, lifting off of our prop, rolling our shoulders back, bringing our arms a little closer to the mat ends. And then as you come up with the hips not too high, have the action of drawing the heels back toward you, sliding the shoulders back as well. Remove the towel roll and take the towel roll and squish it between the upper legs and the belly, and then make a little sandwich and pull your knees in and just gently squeeze. And then release. Let's work the shoulders for a little bit. Now that we've awakened the core and the hips a little bit, we'll take the towel roll overhead, done in the past, and then launch it back to the floor beyond. Inhale, and exhale, bring it back to eye level toward the sky. Inhale back, and up. So as you do this easy exercise, and keep your palms facing one another, and let your hips begin to arch and curl in the manner we started with, in complement to this extension of the arms. Hips roll forward, low back gently arches. Exhale, belly button, hips come back toward you, and you're off and running. Just easy warm up. And then we'll stop with the towel hovering. Inhale, and just drop our gaze and our towel roll and our arms over to the right. Exhale, inhale to center, and drop left. Just start easy. Hips are staying square for safety. But if there are no low back problems, you want to take it a step higher. You can hover the shins, inhale, and exhale, same thing. And if you want to go for the next level, then you could drop your shoulders, parallel arms to the right, and let the knees move slightly over to the left. Inhale the center, and you get the picture. I'm just balancing the hip movement with the shoulder movement in opposite planes on the diagonal. Again, go easy if the spiral pattern creates distress. What's most important is that the shoulders and the hips are operating as a unit or as pairs. Can we start to glide the towel roll back a little? We can look toward it and the knees away from you. Now we have a chair pose on our back. And exhale. Tap the towel roll to the tops of the knees as they come back toward us. Inhale, shins float away, towel roll goes overhead. And exhale, tap. So just a little core. And we'll just work this, about 2,000 times, more or less. Maybe 1,099 and 2,000. Really good. So that was easy. 2,000 reps, no problem. So let's go ahead and slide the legs long, the arms out to the sides, and feel the hips and the shoulders. And then slide the feet back toward you under the knees again. Inhale, and just as we did before on the towel roll, but now a little more dramatic, drop the knees left, look toward that right hand. And this is a repeat of Wednesday. We're gonna lift the pinky finger off the ground like the palm is rolling behind us, external rotation in the right shoulder, and then release to center, inhale, drop knees right, look left, that left palm and reverse roll the arm. The palm starts facing the sky and rolls toward the floor behind us. Now you're off and running. Those that have been coming to class know that now you can, it's not going to be too confusing, reverse roll the opposite arm. So if my knees drop left, I'm looking right, the external rotation of the right hand with the palm down. The left palm is pressing to the earth, turning that shoulder in inward rotation. So the shoulder capsules are being opened and rinsed. It's the same way you would rinse a washcloth by spiraling them in opposite directions. And again, if you're a veteran of my classes, you can start to push and stretch your psoas. So as my knees go to the left, I start to push the right knee on the diagonal so that right hip lifts off the ground. It's going to give a little more opening of this right front shoulder, the pec minor. And then I release down, inhale, exhale, knees go to the right, and I start to push on the diagonal with the left knee, where the back right corner of the mat, and left hip lifts, and it really starts to engage, open the psoas of the left leg and this front left shoulder. So just go easy. And for the class veterans, you could start to do a little advanced rolling, like so, letting that upper arm start to come toward 12 noon, and the head rolls, in the same direction as the knees. Rolling the knees left, pushing the right knee forward, rolling to 12 noon, the right arm, and the head rolls over to the right. Flop onto your back, and so forth. So we're getting the hip capsule, the shoulder capsule on the same side. It's a big old stretch. And go easy. Going as far into rotation as your body allows. Coming back to center, briefly extend the legs. And now let's see if we can goalpost the arms. So if you came early to class, you saw me do this over the bolsters. But now we're just kind of checking with the pec minors here, fronts of the shoulders. So goalpost or right angle arms, how does that feel in the shoulder capsules? Is that a practical way for your body to be, or is it tense? And let's slide one foot and the other under the knees, and slide the hands now to clasp or just connect to the back of the skull. As you inhale, gently rock the hips forward, press the back of the head back, and press the back of the elbows, the bent elbows into the floor. Feel your shoulder blades get a little stretch. And now as you exhale, reverse the curve in the low back, the hips pull back toward you as we did earlier. And that action comes all the way up the spine, and you can just support the head and lift it up. And repeat. Drop the head, hips roll forward, head rolls back. You're gonna stretch through the triceps, the subscaps, and then hips pitch back and up you come. So you're off and running. This is a gentle way of opening the fronts of the shoulders. Now do the elbows come a little bit forward as you come up? Let's start to play with that. And teachers will debate this. You certainly don't want to crush your skull and pull them together. But you can protract the shoulder blades apart or broaden them across your back as you come up. And if people are wanting some extra work, they can straighten their legs. And as they exhale, pull one knee in. And as they inhale, straighten the legs. Exhale. Head comes up. And now we're connecting the hip, or the upswing of the hip on each side with the drawing together, the moving forward of the shoulders. We think of it as core, but if we think of the action that's happening in the hips and the shoulders, it's also of value. You can add any pieces you want. You can kick the legs straight up. You can use the arms forward. Core fanatics, Pilates fans. A couple more, and just to find this connection. Super core people, knock yourselves out. Come up, do a half boat, inhale, exhale, come down. So you can take these actions to whatever degree you like, but once you learn them, they allow all sorts of fun things to happen. So let's lay down, hold the knees in again, and just start to rock and roll on the spine. Inhale, pull back, and exhale, roll forward, and get some momentum. Give yourself a back rub. Keeping your chin tucked. And let's take a Navasana. And then cross the ankles, come to hands and knees. Spread the knees a little wider than the hips. Sink back to your first child's pose. Let's walk the hands back toward us and grab our towel rolls, pretty thick if you have one. Not a big deal if you don't, and I can show you something else to do So we already worked the pec minors pretty well. We're going to take our towel rolls, leave space for the head, and just see if we can get the towel rolls underneath the biceps. You need to lift your hips a little bit and then sink them back down. You could also, if you have a cushion, work that this way. Just put the cushion under the chest. That could be so easy for you. Like, Dan, I'm not really, it's nothing. That you advance to the next stage, which is position like a V, your towel rolls. For now you're going to lay your body, so watch first. I've got these towel rolls kind of diagonally placed under my fronts of my shoulders. I drop my head, and now I just place the arms like figure four. Four straight out. Now you should be able to feel the shoulder capsules. But even if that's not even enough, you can slide your left hand back toward you to plant it. Inhale. Exhale, start to push that left hand and take the right arm straight out from the shoulder and just let the towel roll get a little more connection to the front of that right pec minor. When we switch, place your right hand like you're going to do a push-up. Slide your left hand arm straight out. Inhale, and then start to push with the right hand. Nod your head to the right, and just stretch front of that left shoulder capsule. Go easy. And so this is where we're going with the pec minors. Okay, can we lift up to cobra now? Half cobra maybe? And just feel those open shoulders in the pose. And then come back to child's pose. Walk it back, sink, flow back in. And coming up, for the moment, take the towel rolls to the sides. Let's try our first downward dog and see how the shoulders feel after that exercise, and they can preview the downward dog by taking cat and cow. So really feel the shoulder capsules open and close, the hips in flexion extension. And then as you launch back to downward dog, keep your eyes forward, keep your knees back, and see if you can feel that sensation of opening the fronts of the shoulder capsules by taking them apart, taking the shoulder blades apart. Exhale, let the head drop within the arms, look back at the feet. Inhale forward to high plank. Drop your knees and sink back to child's pose. Inhale, come halfway up, and let's walk the hands to the left and then drop back down into the hips. Feel that right hip, that right shoulder getting a little bit of a stretch. Similar but not the same as we did rolling on our backs. And then after 3 to 5 breaths, we'll switch over to the right diagonal. Drop and feel the stretch in that left shoulder, left hip, front of the hip. And then come back to center, try another downward dog. Remember the trick we used Wednesday, turning the fingers a little bit outward so the thumbs are pointing forward. And move the shoulder blades now apart and forward. Launch the shoulder blades forward. Come forward to high plank. Drop down to your knees. And take your elbows where your hands were coming to Cobra or Easy Cobra once again. So here's where you may need your towel roll again. It depends. But you could have it handy on the left side of the mat. So we're going to try to drag that left knee up toward us. If this is really a little bit gamey for you, see what I'm going to do with this towel roll. I'm going to place it right at the upper groin like that. I'm on my forearms now. I got a little half frog going with that left knee. I can look toward it. I just let the weight drop onto that towel roll. From here though, let's slide the left hand forward, thread the needle with the right arm. It's going to go over to the left. And then we're going to start to roll onto our backs, dragging the left hip over the right. If you get over there, that upper hip, left hip now is directly, vertically over the right. You can hold the left knee with the right hand and let that whole left shoulder open up in the twist. A little more dynamically. We'll roll onto our bellies again, slide the legs together, and you can shift the towel roll over to the right side. Find a good Cobra, feel the hip points. You can roll a little bit left and drag that right knee up toward you. You can take the towel roll under that groin muscle, right groin if you want. Just look down, allow gravity to do its work. Then we're going to look up and slide the right hand forward, thread under that right armpit with the left arm, roll onto our backs, dragging the right hip now over and directly over the left hip. Open the arms, particularly the right arm, and feel the twist as another way to open up that right shoulder capsule. Come back to center. Get rid of the towel roll. One last time in Cobra. And then we're going to do our Cobra push-ups. So, watch if you haven't done them. I'm going to drop my head. I'm going to slide my hands back wide off the mat, near the shoulders. And I let the chin come toward the chest. Think of a seahorse shape of the upper back. Let the shoulders roll forward. Inhale, head stays down. You start to come up with the shoulders. Exhale, you reverse the shoulders and roll them back. Inhale here, and exhale, roll forward. Inhale, come up, shoulders. Start to reverse the shoulder pattern, ahead. Inhale, and exhale, roll down. So feeling the patterns of the shoulders, keeping them roll forward until you get about halfway up, and do 3 or 4 more. So if you're just working here at this level, that's fine. There's a lot of work in the paraspinals, the multifidi in the back, to potato chip curl the spine, allowing the shoulder capsules full external rotation. And then we'll come back to our child's pose and release. Making sure the low back is doing okay. Come up to hands and knees now, and go ahead and move toward downward dog. Again, see if you can spread the chest open. You can bend the knees a little, look toward the hands, lengthen the collarbones away, like cat and cow. This would be the cow pattern and the cat.
It's not rounding the spine, the shoulder blades are moving apart and forward. Walk the hands back to the feet for forward fold. Bend your knees and hold your opposite elbows. This would be the easy way to feel what I was just describing in down dog, letting the shoulder blades move apart by pushing the elbows into the hands and then allowing the shoulder blades to move up the back or toward the floor. As if one was taking shirt over your head, same action of lifting over with the arms. Then the knees come up with a rounded spine. And let's be at the back of the mat with the feet parallel. Close your eyes, let your shoulder capsules release, and see how they feel now. Let's take a giant step forward to the front of the mat. Now, we're going to work, as we often have, this open and closed pattern and try to put things together as we flow here on Friday. Usually Friday's a flow day. So if we open to our goalpost arms and arch our mid-backs just slightly on inhale, and exhale, we start to bring our forearms together, bend our knees. Inhale, open and close. So we're doing, in a sense, cat pose or cow pose rather here, and cat or flexion and extension, but we're also moving the shoulder blade capsules across the back. And what happens in our ultimate protraction, we can come into Garuda Asana if we want. We can wrap the elbows and take Garuda Asana arms. We can tap our elbows as deep as we want for core. We forward fold, release. And bend the knees and come up with a rounded spine to try the other side. Open and close. So you can just stay with this pattern for third time. Other side of your eagle wrap. Staying here, tucking, and releasing. Give the head a shake, the shoulders a shake, the spine a shake, and come up with a rounded spine. Put this into play, coming to the front of the mat, and we'll take the left toes back, not a lot of weight on them, and take our open arms, our goalpost arms. Look up, inhale, and exhale, start to bring forearms together. Let that left knee come up. If you have balance issues, you can just slide the left foot forward and keep it on the ground. Open and close. If you can pull the left knee up, fantastic. What I want you to feel, in addition to the obvious opening and closing of the spine, the shoulder capsules, what's going on with that left hip capsule? So this is just like, remember we were on our backs and I had you doing this sort of motion with the core work, and I said it's core, but it's also the shoulder and hip capsule on this left side are moving toward one another. Can we try the other side? Right toes back, open, goalpost, and then could be a very simple motion where you can't even get your right knee or foot off the ground because of balance. We just move the foot forward, sink in and flex. The hips and the shoulder capsules toward one another. Otherwise, similar to what we did on the ground when we had the hands behind the head. And release. So we primed the muscles around the hips, muscles around the shoulders. If you just stand, you should feel pretty warmed up, that we can flow into some poses with safe alignments. So we'll take the left toes back and open the arms, inhale, and exhale, pull the left knee up, forward, and step back to warrior one. Let's tap, brush the front knee, getting it to drop down, and then reach up. When we reach up with the shoulders and the arms, and we did this last week, you can feel the movement of the arms, movement of the shoulder blades. I don't want you to do this coming up from the side body, Iyengar motion. I want you to keep the shoulder capsules moving apart and keep the hands in your peripheral vision. Once they go beyond the peripheral vision, that's too much with the shoulder capsules. So we're gathering up a cloud. Now, send the cloud high, inhale, and then goalpost the arms, exhale. Now we're going to open up the pec minor as we did moments ago. Inhale, and then close the forearms together, lean forward, and step the back foot to the front foot. Chair pose. Knees bend, brush the knees, reach high, bring it all to the center. Let's try the other side. So the right toes are back, open the arms, goalpost, lift the mid back, exhale, close. So feel that upswing of that right knee and the shoulder capsule. Step back with the right foot, warrior one, brush the front knee, and come up. Just do that a few times. Tap the knee. We're keeping the arms initially and the hands where we can see them. We reach up and we bring forearms down, exhale. Now you can stretch open those pec minors a little, inhale, and then glide the shoulder blade capsules together, the forearms together. Step the feet together with bent knees. Chair pose. And release. It's good. Moving on. Left toes back, goalpost, inhale, and exhale, close. Step back, warrior one, the left foot, brush, and reach. And let's spiral open to warrior two, resetting that back foot to 90 degrees. Now, what if we look back at the left hand and roll it to the sky? Inhale, and exhale, start to come down into side angle. Let that left hand, tracking it with our eyes, move across the sky. And keep our vision, preferably, at the tips of the fingers. Inhale, come up. Let the arms come up again. Now, take the hands to the hips. Press the hips down. Press the low back down. Anchor the heels. And now start to just lean that right shoulder forward a little. Inhale, come up. And then start to lean that right shoulder forward. So as we come into triangle pose, I want you to pay attention to the back or the left hip. And I want you to feel like you can corkscrew that sitting bone down toward the back foot, the back heel. So like it's spiraling, corkscrewing down into that heel. From that action of the corkscrew of the back hip joint, and I have my left thumb right on that left SI joint, I can come deeper into the pose. I anchor that SI and that pelvic root, so to speak, the sit bone, pushing toward the heel, and that action, that spiraling action, corkscrew, counterclock, gonna open up the whole left shoulder as well. Maybe the left hand comes to the sky if the root of the hip is down. When we take it to the floor, find our plank pose, and find our downward dog. Come forward to high plank, drop your knees. Let's glide through the hands to come up through cobra. And child's pose. Come up to hands and knees, spread your fingers, downward dog. This time, spread open the armpits, inhale, move the shoulder blades forward, exhale. Keep the arms lengthening, so bend the knees, look forward. Step or jump, feet to hands. Bring your hands to your shins and create a flat back, and fold. Bend your knees, come into chair pose, and then standing. Let's try the other side. Right toes back, so you're balancing on the left leg. Feel the alignment of the left hip over the left foot. Set your goalpost arms, inhale, and exhale. Bring the arms in one more time. And then we pull that right knee up toward us. Step back to warrior one. The hands brush the front knee. Launch the arms, and then pivot open. So here's the trick. That back hip and the right foot, the right hip, right foot have slightly rotated open, but we have to be super careful they don't over rotate to the back. So the motion of the feet will indicate to the hip capsules where to go. The motion of the hands in turn, as we turn our gaze to the back hand and roll that palm up to the sky, tells the shoulder what to do, shoulder capsule. Now as we come into our side angle, bending the left knee, tracing the right fingers forward. Feel the openness in the shoulder capsule of that right hand. Coming up, take the hands to the hips and make sure now the hips are re-symmetrized, if there is such a verb, or recenter them, taking these points. So the SI joints right here often give people trouble. And then we have our sitting bones. So what I'm suggesting is now of great importance as you start to lean your left shoulder down is that you don't jam into this front hip, which happens to many a yogi and they need hip replacement. So we're going to use the corkscrew technique with this back sitting bone. Now you can kind of see it. I'm in frame, my backside, and I want to move the right sit bone, corkscrew it in a clockwise fashion down toward the anchor of the back heel. So if you're a beginner and you just go this far, but you're really pushing, doing the sit bone to the heel, you'll be working against the wall chair. But once you've got that corkscrew action, then everything translates up this right side of the spine, allowing for a nice pose. I can take it as deep as I want, but as soon as I've lost that root of the sit bone to the heel, it's all over. Okay, let's take it to the ground, plank pose, downward dog. Then your knees look forward, jump or step, flat back and fold. Then your knees, bring your arms up, chair pose, and then standing. So as we start to move into rotation, which we did earlier in class, we did kind of this nice Friday. We're having the knees go one way, all this work with the hip and the shoulder capsule on our backs, which is quite nice. But when we start to move into rotational patterns and standing poses, it's really important to feel the core and the shoulder hip capsule connection. So let's try something relatively easy. You might want a chair or wall, but here's what I'm going to suggest. We start with the same action we've been doing, and that is, let's take 1 foot back. Let's say it's going to be your left foot, doesn't matter. And bring your goalpost arms up, inhale, and then start to come into this pattern. So now that you have the notion, can we make this the one hand, one leg? So if we slide left toes back and we take the left hand to the hip to feel that capsule, and we just have the right arm in goalpost, inhale, and now we try to bring the knee up and the elbow together. So if you need a wall, you're going to go to the wall and do it like this. Okay? But as you come up, I want you to feel this upswing of the left hip. And then you're going to see if you can just clasp that outer knee, the right hand, and start to open up into twist. So if you're against the wall, it's still no problem because you can just use the wall to balance. We try the other side. Right toes back, right hand to hip, left arm to goalpost, inhale, and then close. So there, yes, there's core work here, but what's happening with this hip capsule in the right hip is sliding under. Now we can hook up, keep that flexion pattern, open up the upper body. Try that a few times on your own while I grab some water. Okay, so if that's easy, then you can do advanced work just to show you. If I were on that left side with the right arm up, I feel the upswing, the tuck of the left pelvic half. I hook up. I could go with my strap. I could just hold that knee, but I could take the strap around the foot and start to take the full pose. Straightening the leg, but I've got to keep that tuck up and under that left hip. And what is this but twisting triangle, which we're about to do? So, right foot back, left arm up, tuck, again, working to your measure. Maybe you're just staying with the knee, maybe you can get a strap around the foot, but I gotta have this upswing. I'll show you the side view of this right hip. When that's swinging up, I can open. Really good. Let's see if we can do that one last pose and call it a day. Standing in Tadasana, just relax for a second and see if the fronts of the shoulders have gotten any more open. Take your hands to your hips and feel the right and left side evenly distributed. So from here, let's go ahead and take the left toes back, open the goalpost, and then exhale, pull the left knee up, step back, and launch warrior one. And let's take the hands to the hips and straighten the front leg. Now we're going to start to bow forward, and you could be working on a chair, on the wall, but if you can get the hands to the ground and create a flat back, pressing the feet into the ground, spreading them apart, and then maybe folding. So now, where's the corkscrew? Well, we're going to think of this right hip. You take your right hand to your hip. Again, beginners could be working on a chair, even up on a wall like this. And I corkscrew clockwise that right sitting bone, that right pelvic calf, and down and forward toward the heel. That motion of corkscrewing, pushing, whether or not your front leg is straightened or bent, it's going to move the right hip in, it's going to turn the gaze to the right, and then eventually bring the right arm up. Let's take our hands to the ground. Let's drop our left knee down, bring our hands up to our front knee, and just sink into a low lunge. Even if that was way too much and you're a beginner, we'll just do it once here in low lunge. We take our twist to the right. Take the left hand to the right knee, and take your right hand to your right pelvic calf. Nobody's watching, so who cares? So typical thing is this right hip's winging out. You want to just roll it in. Roll it in and forward. So you're tucking under and inward that right pelvic calf. You can go anywhere you want with this twist. Take it into a prayer twist. But let the action, corkscrewing the right hip, lead you into the pose. Even if you take extreme poses, you're in great jeopardy of completely having uprooted this right hip rather than hugging it inward. It's connected to the shoulders. And straighten the front leg, bow over it. And then simply take the hands forward, step the front foot to the back, downward dog, stretch it all up. Then your knees look forward, jump, step. Lengthen and fold. Chair pose brings you up. And then let's just do the other side before we finish up. Otherwise, we'll walk around in asymmetry. Right toes back, goalpost, inhale, exhale, close, step back, right foot, warrior one. Bring the hands to the hips, straighten the front leg, feel the symmetry in the hips, and then we start to fold. If you need to bend the front knee, it's fine. You need to just go to the wall or a chair, or if you can take the fingers down. And now you take the pose. Parsvottanasana. So, we're going to focus on this left hip. And we're going to corkscrew it into the ground. So we're moving the hip inward and counterclockwise toward the front heel. Sit bones tucking. We want to make it more simple. And pushing and sliding to this front heel. And with that rotation, I take twisting triangle. Come down into low lunge and play with it there. by taking more clearly in this angle, the right fingers across the left knee, and then I just take my left hand to my left pelvic calf, and I slide it down. And I'm moving it counterclock. That allows me to have a good connection with the shoulder, which is getting opened. And here, the advanced pose may be too much of a chiropractic hard move. This bottom arch starts to wrench the body, but the hip is an anchor. So keep that hip moving forward toward the front heel. Take the pose to where you want. Don't lose this action. Okay. Straighten the front leg briefly. And let's make our way to our final downward dog. We'll jump through to seated, straighten our legs. And here's where we're going to have our cushions ready for our final respite. But first, a forward fold. So if you don't have the double cushions, and I assume that some people don't, all you're going to do, I'll show both, is use your towel roll to have a final shoulder opener like so. This is fine, and it could be just what the doctor ordered. Shoulder blades are just above the towel roll, the arms are out. But if you want to try, if you have a little table, so to speak, with your seat, your cushions, then it's kind of nice because you're bringing your legs together like a penguin or a Tadasana, and just draping the shoulder blades, sliding them off the end of the cushion. The arms are open, the neck relaxes, and you take several breaths to close off class this way. So take a moment to just allow the body to release, to relax in a passive way, whichever formation you have. And then we're going to bend the knees one at a time. Carefully roll off to one side without catastrophe. And then coming up to seated to close off our class. Find your comfortable cross-legged seat and find your shoulders floating like clouds over your hip capsules, relaxing your eyes, your jaw, your tongue, and neck. Palms to the heart. Namaste.